In this video, we're going to look at what are called arithmetic sequences. And first, I want to just describe what a sequence is. A sequence is just an ordered list of numbers. So let's write that below here. It's an ordered list of numbers. If you think about many of the passwords we use now, like on the internet, you can describe those as sequences. I know some of them have letters as well, but the point is that it's an ordered list of numbers, and order obviously matters. You can't punch in your password in any, with the letters or the numbers in any order and expect to log in. So an ordered list of numbers is key. It doesn't have to have a pattern. A sequence doesn't have to have a pattern, but the ones we're going to look at in this section will have a pattern. And so the first type we're going to look at are called arithmetic sequences. And an arithmetic sequence is simply one in which you're adding or subtracting. And I'm just going to say adding because subtracting is just like adding a negative. So adding a common number to get to the next number. Okay, so let's look at this first example here. I've got a list of numbers, and I've listed 4 out, so that's enough, I think, to establish the pattern. To just introduce some notation, since a sequence is an ordered list of numbers, we would certainly call the first number our first term, and we often use like the letter A or B, it doesn't really matter, but A with a little subscript 1, that means the first term. So that would be A sub 2, that's A sub 3, A sub 4, etc. And so our goal in this first example is to find an explicit formula. So what is an explicit formula? Well, it's really just a rule. So it's a rule that helps me find the nth term. So an explicit formula is powerful because I should be able to plug in 20 and get the 20th term, right? I can see the first 4 here, but if I want the 20th, I don't want to have to just kind of keep listing them and extend the pattern. I want to have a formula for my convenience. So let's start an approach here that's going to help us get that explicit formula. So there's certain ways you can do it. I think the way I'm going to do it here will kind of build the general formula for any arithmetic sequence, so that if you get any arithmetic sequence, you'll know what the explicit formula is. So here's how I started. I say, okay, well my first number is a 1. And what am I adding every single time? Looks like I'm adding, to get from 1 to 5, I add 4. 5 to 9, I have to add 4, etc. So it looks like I'm adding 4 every time. That, by the way, is called the common difference. So let's get that down. Common difference is 4. So my first term is a 1. My second term I know is a 5, but I'm going to write it as not 5, but my 1 plus my common difference. Alright, so my third term, yes, it's a 9, but I could also view it as my 1 plus a 4 plus a 4, right? It looks like if I start at 1, I have to add 2 4s. So I can view it as 1 plus 4 2 times. My fourth term is, yes, it's a 13, but I can also view it as my 1 plus, counting over, I'd have to add 3 4s. So plus 4 times 3. Let's do one more. It's not on the list, but if I were to add one more number, 13 plus a 4 gives me a 17. And that means that my fifth term is 1. Well, it's 17, but I can write that as 1 plus 4 added 4 times, etc. So at this point, you want to kind of maybe even pause the video and see if you can figure out the pattern. By the way, I should probably, to keep the pattern consistent, I'll write a 1 there. Let's think about or if you know what the pattern is at this point, you should be able to tell me what the 10th term is. You should be able to just look at the pattern, and if you're not sure, just take a look at how the index is related to these numbers here. And then also note what's the same in each of these equations. So what's definitely the same is that 1 in my common difference, which is 4. What's changing is the amount of times I'm adding the 4. And that looks like it's always 1 less than the subscript. So that's what my 10th term should be. And so obviously the most important thing is if we have the nth term here, that would be my first term plus my 4 times, well, 9 is 10 minus 1, so the number in here should be my n minus 1. And there it is. There's a formula for this particular arithmetic sequence, and that will always tell me what my nth term is. So this is an explicit formula. And we'll see another type of formula later. But that's an explicit formula. So in general, let's come up with a general formula. In general, an explicit formula for an arithmetic sequence has this structure. My nth term is always equal to, I'm going to just shrink this more, is always equal to my first term plus my common difference, right? So this was my first term, plus my common difference. So my common difference is going to be d. Times n minus 1. Alright, so in the future, if you understand this video, you really don't have to redo the work we did. If you just recognize that the sequence is arithmetic and you know the first term and the common difference, then you are all set to write down the explicit formula.